Hey there, everybody. Sorry I'm a few minutes late, but it is what it is. It is Sunday, November 1st. We're in November already. You believe that? Wow. It's another day, another dollar for your Minnesota Vikings. The question is, with J.J. McCarthy returning like MacArthur did to the Philippines, can he win in Michigan? Is the big question. We will find out today. We've got three themes as usual. First one, KOC's very, very, very bad week that he had. Second one, this week in Vikings land, where we're going to talk more than one topic. And then, of course, we're going to follow up with the Drewster on Inside the Numbers as we preview that Minnesota game versus the Detroit Kittens. All next on Two Old Bloggers. Let's rock! Vikings First and SKOL presents This Week in Vikings Land with Darren and Dave, your two old bloggers. I see the crowd that's joined us so far, and thank everybody from Biggs to Anthony to Dale Mocker to Dr. Brodo, Raymond, Chevy, Peter. Good to see you all. And they're in a positive mood this morning. Speaking of positive moods, we have Darren. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing just fine, Dave. I'm trying to be with all my ray of positivity this weekend. Hope you're doing well, and hope everybody else who's tuning in or going to tune in is doing great.
Yes, hopefully they are. Well, let's start off with this theme one. The rough week.
Yes, indeed. Kevin O'Connell, it wasn't a very pleasant week for Kevin O'Connell, I would say. First off, the Vikings go on the road, get blown away by the Chargers on Thursday Night Football. And so Kevin O'Connell has to deal with the fallout of that. And everybody, fans and outsiders, media, all questioning how he and his coaching staff prepared the team and looking at why they played so badly in that one. So, that's one thing. And then he also had to deal with the fallout from his handling of Carson Wentz in that game, where Wentz where he kept Wentz in the game a lot longer than you and I thought he should have been in, and a lot longer than a lot of people thought that Wentz should have been in when he was taking a beating and was already injured. So, and I think this is a different place for KOC to be in, Dave, because yes, there have been times during his 3+ years as head coach for the Vikings where he's been questioned for the team's play on the field and play calling and decision making that led to the Vikings losing a game or performing not how they were expected. But he's never been questioned about his treatment of his players. And in this case, that's been a major talking point this week. So I want to go back to just that handling of Wentz, because we got to hear from Wentz this week and Kevin O'Connell in more detail about how that all went down. And I thought those comments were interesting. And the first from Wentz, who I think he took a bit of an unusual approach this week he was put on injured reserve, and normally those guys, they don't do pressers right away. He did it, and in that presser, he was pretty strong in defending Kevin O'Connell, the rest of the coaching staff, and the training staff, and stating that he felt he could handle the pain, and that nobody was forcing him to play, and that he knew what he was signing up for in this game, playing with a very severely injured left shoulder. So it was good to hear him from that. But I think his comments, Dave, in that presser reinforced what I was talking about last Saturday when we talked about this issue where, I felt that Kevin O'Connell kept him in too long. Like, I felt that O'Connell should have took him out around the 12-minute mark in the fourth quarter when the Vikings were down 31-10 and the game looked hopeless. But you see, and I felt that Kevin O'Connell had to step in there for in a pretty poor situation, a game that I thought was well past too far gone with a quarterback that was too injured. But you hear what Wentz's comments in that one, why he wanted to stay in the game, even though Kevin O'Connell said that throughout the game, he went to Wentz several times to ask him, "Are you okay? Can you play?" And Wentz said, "I can play. I want to keep on playing." Well, Wentz talked about how he felt that he still would be able to lead the Vikings to come back and potentially win that game. He also talked about how he felt he could play through the pain. He knew it was a pain tolerance thing. He could do that. He also said, I thought this was really interesting, that it's been so long since he'd played meaningful football that he wanted to keep on playing that meaningful football, and he didn't want that to end. There you have it, Dave. Again, Kevin O'Connell said part of his decision-making in keeping Wentz in there was because he asked Wentz if he could play, and Wentz said, "Yeah, I can do it, coach. Keep me in there." But you just, like I talked about last week, there's very few pro athletes, NFL players, who if you ask them, "Hey, are you good? Can you still play?" they're going to tell you, "No, coach, I'm done. I'm tapping out." Like, that's not how they're wired. And I think the culture of the NFL and being tough and being able to play through pain, players feel like they can't, even if they're asked if they're good to go, they can't. They feel that they can't, if they say they tap themselves out of the game, that's going to be held against them in the future. So that's why I think, O'Connell had to save Wentz from himself, because Wentz, just like probably 90% of the players in the NFL, maybe more, they aren't going to take themselves out of the game unless you take them out forcefully yourself. So that's the one thing. The other thing that I wanted to touch on was just Kevin O'Connell's rationale for why he left Wentz in the game. And it was good to hear Kevin O'Connell talk more at length about that this week. I think it gave me a better perspective of his thought process for doing what he did. One was, he said, there was the Brosmer thing. He didn't want to throw Brosmer in there. We knew that. He also talked about how he felt he owed it to a veteran like Wentz to allow him to work through this and to give Wentz a chance as a veteran to right the ship, get the Vikings back into the game, and potentially lead a comeback. And he also said that, hey, I know I'm paraphrasing here quite a bit, but he talked to the media about how, hey, the game wasn't looking very good, but I've had teams who've come back in games and in my time as a Vikings and won games that maybe other people from outside the organization thought were lost causes as well. And I can see that, Dave, because Kevin O'Connell did coach a team in 2022 that pulled off the greatest comeback in NFL history, erasing a 33-0 deficit against the Colts and coming back to win that game in overtime. So I can see where he's coming from, where no game is too far gone, even if a fan like me thinks it is. But this wasn't the same situation as the Colts game, Dave. I think if you look back in the Colts game, just as an example, in that second half, the Vikings defense was actually getting stops against the Colts. Against the Chargers, the Vikings defense stopped the Colts once all night. Another difference was in that second half and against the Colts in the comeback, the Vikings offense was scoring touchdown after touchdown when they got the ball. Thursday night against the Chargers, that was not happening. We only got one touchdown. Yes, it was in the second half, but we needed a couple of dumb penalties from the Chargers to extend that drive and allow us to score that touchdown. And I think Wentz's physical condition in play was a reason why the offense was really struggling, because he couldn't move because he was injured. He couldn't escape pressure. And I think that his injury, his left shoulder injury, was affecting his accuracy and his ability to throw the ball. So another this was not going to be a comeback with the way Wentz was playing and the way the offense was playing and the way the defense was playing. You weren't getting a 33-0 dramatic comeback like in the Chargers game or like the Colts game. So I know what O'Connell said, and I understand his perspective, but I know what I saw on last Thursday night, and what I saw was a quarterback who was severely compromised by injury at that point in the game in the fourth quarter, was getting banged up and hit hard and beat up even more. And you had offenses and defenses from the Vikings who were not playing at a level that would allow them to come back. So that's why I think he should have been taken out a lot earlier in the fourth quarter than he did. So that's my spiel on it. It's easy for me to make those kind of criticisms. I'm just a fan. I don't know. I didn't have the information that Kevin O'Connell had from the training staff about Wentz. I'm not in the locker room with Wentz and the other players and getting their opinions on things. But again, I know what I saw, and what I saw wasn't really good, and I think should have merited getting Wentz out of there earlier than he did. And maybe he wouldn't be on the IR right now if that had been the case. But it is what it is, as the sports athletes often say. But moving on to, I guess, the other thing from this whole very poor week, which again, couldn't have been a very pleasant week for Kevin O'Connell, with the questions about team preparation and how he's handling that, and also the questions about handling player injuries and player health. I'm sure it wasn't a pleasant week for Brian Flores or Wes Phillips or either. But so I'm really interested to see, as I think all Vikings fans are, really interested to see how the Vikings players react and perform after getting stomped last Thursday night, and how they act and perform against the Detroit Lions tomorrow, Dave. Again, couldn't have been a pleasant week for the Vikings coaching staff. A lot of questions being thrown around about their competency right now in various areas. But I think that this is probably the toughest week again, and the toughest position I think Kevin O'Connell's been in his 3+ years as head coach. But I also think that this is a test, a situation that every NFL coach faces at some point in time in their careers, where just everything is going wrong and everybody thinks you suck. And so I think this is a very important game for the Vikings and Kevin O'Connell. The talent is there, Dave. We know that the Vikings have very good talent in a lot of positions. They should be playing better than they are, but Detroit also has a lot of talent. I think they have more than the Vikings have at this point in time. And a thumping tomorrow is a very real possibility. And I'm not suggesting that Kevin O'Connell has lost the locker room. I don't think it's anywhere close to that. But if you go tomorrow and you have a second straight blowout loss, things could go really bad really quickly. We've seen it happen to lots of teams in the past in the NFL. And it's time for the Vikings to turn things around, for them to play better. And part of that, a lot of that is on the coaching staff of Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores. And so really, really intrigued to see what kind of effort and performance the Vikings get tomorrow against the Lions. But again, if you have a bad showing like you had against the Chargers, Dave, it's going to lead to, I think things will could snowball and get bad, really bad, really quick for the Vikings. The losses could mount, and that's going to lead to a lot of questions for Kevin O'Connell and the rest of his staff when the season ends, whenever that ends. So I think this game against the Lions tomorrow, it's not only important, very important to keep the Vikings in the playoff hunt, which I think you and I think is not in the greatest shape right now. But I think it's also an important game for Kevin O'Connell's head coaching career at this point.
Not in the greatest shape. It is mathematically possible, but the likelihood is very, very low. Now, Kevin, I think, screwed up this week, and it has happened. I've noticed with Kevin that he seems to be losing weight and not very. His body language has sort of changed in some respects. He doesn't seem as happy this year. Now, it's been reported that the vibes have changed within the organization. It doesn't feel the same as in previous years. Well, that's partially because of how they went about this offseason and partially how the season has started. But yeah, I agree. It does not look good. Him, relying on just the coach, the medical staff and the coaches saying, hey, he wants to play, and not using his Mark 1 eyeball to go, he's in pain. I see it. I think was a mistake. But hey, like you said, most coaches go through this sort of deal. I think virtually all of them have at some point or another.
Even the greatest of the greats. You could just think about Bill Belichick's last few years and how that went. Right? It all happens to them, and you have to. And how you react to that is partly how your head coaching tenure is judged. And I think right now you're at a bit of a not a tipping point, but it's like I said, I think this is a very important game for Kevin O'Connell as a head coach to. Will the Vikings win tomorrow? I think that's unlikely, but and there's no moral victories. But I feel maybe a little bit better about the Vikings team if tomorrow is a close game where they were in position to win at some point in time. If they lose and Detroit puts up a 50 burger and you lose by 30 points, as some folks are suggesting might happen, that's going to be a tougher to swallow. And again, it's going to lead to more questions about the direction of this team and the direction that Kevin O'Connell is leading them.
Mm-hmm. And Fantastic says Detroit has the potential to play like crap tomorrow too. They do. They could view this as a trap game and just totally blow it. It's possible. We've all seen it happen. So
yes, we have.
All right. Now on to theme 2. Oops.
Dave getting the slides ready.
This week in Vikings land.
We've got a busy segment here, about 5 things I want to get to. And the first one is, of course, JJ McCarthy. We're all disappointed with how the Viking season has gone so far. And the Vikings are going into tomorrow in Detroit as a heavy underdog. I think the line was 8.5 points earlier in the week. I'm not sure if that has changed at all. I'm not a bettor myself, so I don't pay too much attention to the point spreads. But the Vikings are a big underdog going into tomorrow. That 8.5 spread seems pretty large for when you got when the Vikings are 2.5 games behind the Lions in the win column, but or 2 games behind the Vikings, the Lions in the win column. But nonetheless, that's it. They're the underdogs. But JJ McCarthy is coming back. He's going to start his 3rd NFL game tomorrow, and so for a lot of Vikings fans, that provides a spark, some excitement to watching the game tomorrow, even if you don't think the Vikings are going to be competitive. And since McCarthy's been out, it's been a long 6 weeks, Dave, but we've been reading time after time after time, because Kevin O'Connell gets asked about it time after time after time about what they're doing to make things better and prepping McCarthy to be be his best version of himself when he gets in there on Sunday. And I'll admit, Dave, and I said it before, I was caught off guard in the first 2 games by how unready JJ McCarthy looked to be a starter in the NFL. And so since that time, Kevin O'Connell has talked about how the importance of McCarthy, cleaning up his footwork mechanics, which seems surprising considering that McCarthy's been working on this for footwork for a year and a half, if not more. And then the importance of having McCarthy's eyes and feet being in unison when he's making reads, and how that's so important to him being successful. I'm not saying all of that is true, of course, but I think when we're looking tomorrow at what progress, if any, JJ McCarthy has made now compared to when we last saw him against the Falcons, I think a lot of that progress has to come between the years, Dave, because we know that McCarthy, when he played, held on to the ball a long time, too long. And when doing that tells me a few things. One was that he probably was having a hard time figuring out what defenses coverages they were in and what defenses were trying to do with him and deciphering that. And it also, the other side of it was maybe he did decipher it and figure it out, but he was too late in doing so, which resulted in him holding on to the ball too long. Or, he thought he had it figured out, but he didn't quite trust it. So he didn't throw the ball when he should have. And again, that resulted in him holding on to the ball too long and either getting sacked or pressured and bad things happening. That's all mental stuff, Dave. That's all between the ears stuff. So tomorrow, I think if you're seeing progress, there's been talk about, again, very important stuff. What kind of game plan is Kevin O'Connell going to have for JJ McCarthy to set him up for success? And the talk about getting the ball out of his hands faster, having some easier answers for him to what Detroit's defense is going to throw at him, short passes, screens, that sort of thing. That's all fine and dandy. But a coach can draw up the plays. They can come up with a great game plan. But if the guy that's you've entrusted to make those decisions doesn't make the right decision, if they don't figure out the defensive coverage at all or in time, or they don't trust what they're seeing and they throw late or not throw at all, then you're going to have bad things happen. And the play calling, the great play calls that you made aren't going to make a whole bit of difference. So again, tomorrow, McCarthy, the improvements between the years, and I'm really intrigued to see where the progress, how much he's improved in that area of his game, which I think is the most important area for quarterbacks in the NFL.
I agree. It's going to be interesting to see if because he started reverting to bad habits, especially when it came to footwork. Has he reprogrammed or reset was the term used this week, which I don't think is quite an accurate term, but okay. If he resets his everything and comes out and processes quickly, I thought he processed relatively fine. I think a lot of those long passes were a lot of those holding the ball long was due to the rush and due to trying to stay alive until the wide receivers came open, because they were all called for 20-yard explosives. But we'll find out. Does KOC learn? Does he simplify it and just, sprinkle in the explosives, or does he go explosive, from the start in hopes of getting a higher EPA and more chance of beating the Lions? I don't know. And especially we'll get into the injuries and how the Lions secondary is doing. It could be possible that is the route to take to defeat them. But not sure. It's all going to be on JJ. And we want to see JJ improve. That's the whole thing. The rest of the season, we want to see him improve game to game in, game out, play to play. Let's see him improve, so we know what we have at the end of the season.
And if he's improving, that's going to be good news for the Vikings offense, which is going to help the Vikings defense and help the team overall win more games than they have been winning and playing better than they have been playing. So JJ McCarthy's improvement and progress is pretty important to the Vikings success, short-term and long-term, of course.
Yep. So that brings us to the next topic. Compensatory picks.
Yes. Well, earlier this year, after the free agent period, free agent frenzy in March, and the dust had settled, with the comings and goings on the Vikings roster, the Vikings haven't had a lot of draft capital the past couple of drafts, only 11 picks in total at the past 2 drafts, and just 5 last year. But part of the good news of last year's free agency signing period was that it was looking very much like the Vikings were going to get 3 compensatory picks in the 2026 draft. But over the cap came out with something this week that showed that and that comp pick stuff, Dave, the formula is kind of complicated. It's based on the dollar value of the contracts that have been signed by the players you brought in, and also the guys that were your players last year that left, and then the playing time that all those players get, and all that sort of stuff. And what over the cap has determined right now is that it's looking like the Vikings are, where at one point in April, May, and June, it looked like they were going to get 3 comp picks in the 2026 draft. Now it looks like they're only going to get 1. The one for sure is probably not number 97 overall, just like they got for Kirk Cousins last year, because Darnold signed with the Seahawks for the contract he did, and he's been a starter, and he's played pretty much every snap for them. But it was looking early on in the year that they were going to get a 4th comp pick for Daniel Jones, and also Cam Robinson, I believe, is some combination there. Well, Jones has played, and that was based on if Jones ended up getting the starting job and playing a lot in the Colts. Well, he has done that, and he's firmly entrenched as the starting quarterback. So his snaps are going to be high this year. The problem is that Jones and Robinson's playing time and comp pick, potential comp pick you get for them, is being canceled out because with Blake Cashman's injury and Ivan Pace Jr.'s fall from grace, Eric Wilson has basically been a starter this year for the Vikings when they were expecting him just to be a special teams guy and a backup. And so Wilson's snap counts, which don't appear to be going down anytime soon, are canceling out the Jones and the Robinson playing time and potential compensation you're going to get for them. So, and then also Trent Sherfield and Johnny Munt, it was looking potentially you could get a 7th round comp pick from them in 2026 because it was possible that they were going to get a fair amount of playing time in either Jacksonville in Munt's case and Denver in Sherfield's case. Well, neither of them are getting the playing time required to net the Vikings a comp pick in the 7th round. So again, bit of bad news for the Vikings, and because we know the drafts they haven't had a lot of picks, and they haven't done much with the picks that they've had. Some comp picks might have helped, particularly in the 4th round, but it's looking right now like the Vikings aren't going to get what was looking like 11 picks in total in 2026 is now down to 9. Which is better than 5 last year, but still not as much as we expected, and a little bit of a disappointment there.
It is. And play the game. Sometimes win, sometimes lose.
Yes.
But we get the first one in the 3rd round. That's for sure, which is good.
Yeah. And this situation could change too. There could be injuries in Denver and Jacksonville where you see Munt and Sherfield getting the more playing time than they have been, or the situation with Eric Wilson changes. There's been, I saw a few comments about, not on here so much, but that with Wilson, like with this comp pick situation, do the Vikings actually just stop playing Wilson and put in Pace or somebody else because of the comp pick issue? I don't think that's going to happen, but I have seen that thrown around a little bit.
Well, we'll find out. They're playing to win, yes. I believe. And that means put the best players on the field, no matter who they are.
Yeah.
No matter how hurt they are.
Yeah. Yes.
There's a question on that one. But anyways, all right. Speaking of quarterbacks and hurt.
Yes. Well, Dave, you sent an interesting graphic. It's right up there this week to me, where showing all NFC North teams and looking at how many quarterbacks each of those teams have had who have started at least 10 games for those teams since 1992. I don't know if everybody's going to be able to count in time there, but if you're, that list shows that the Vikings since 1992 have had 18 different quarterbacks who have started at least 10 games for them during their time with the Vikings. That is one more than the Bears, who have had 17 start at least 10 games since 1992 for them, and two more than the Lions, who have had 16 do the same thing. How many of that team from Wisconsin? How many quarterbacks have that team from Wisconsin had to start at least 10 games? Just 3. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and now Jordan Love. So I bring this up just because not only is it an interesting factoid and somewhat depressing, but also when we talk about J.J. McCarthy, and we talk about J.J. McCarthy every week on this show, it seems. And if anybody ever asks you why Vikings fans are so so invested in McCarthy being the franchise guy, and also a little bit worried about how he played the first 2 games, just show them that graphic, because that tells you all you need to know. The Vikings haven't had a franchise quarterback in a dog's age. Well, actually, several dogs' ages. And, we really need J.J. McCarthy to be that guy, because we don't want to be starting over again at the quarterback position and adding 2 or 3 more guys to that list up there who started at least 10 games for the Vikings.
I agree. This list is disgusting. And it's been a long time since we've had a quarterback that falls into that category of, that you can rely on week in and week out to play and be the franchise quarterback. It's rough. Culpepper was almost, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to go back to Fran. And that's way before 92.
Oh, yes. Way before 82. Mm-hmm. And everybody makes the jokes and laughs all the time at the Browns. They've started 41 quarterbacks since 1999 or whatever like that. I think if we were to check the Vikings, how many quarterbacks have just started a game since that same period, we'd probably be not close. Laughing so hard at the Browns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we're not the only ones.
Yeah,
the Bears would be up there as well.
Yes, they would. But that list also makes me a bit surprised that the Vikings have been as good as they have been over that period, making the playoffs, winning the division as much as they have. They're rarely bottom out and are absolutely brutal for long stretches. Well, they might have a year or two where they're really bad, but not multiple years like that during that period. So there is that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Daniel says Vikings took swings and misses on Ponder because of his ability, and Teddy because his knee blew up. Mm-hmm. Same with Culpepper. That was the issue with Culpepper. His knee blew up. So
yeah, and the whole not bottoming out also might be part of the issue with us not getting a franchise too, because we've never picked first overall or second overall where we could get the cream of the crop of the top quarterback prospect in any draft.
The Drake May.
Yes.
I'm not going to say Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams stinks. Sorry, Broski Bear. Caleb Williams stinks. All right. To the next topic.
Oh, yeah. Well, wanted to be a little bit more hopeful. Yes, just a little bit, yeah. Sticking with drafts again, Dave, but yes, we've talked about in the past and about Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and his drafting, and
there'll be more talk about that, especially as we get closer to the draft.
Yes, but I saw something this week, another graphic that said that since 2022, the Vikings have gotten the fewest combined starts from their draft class of any team in the NFL right now. And of course, 2022 was when Kwesi Adofo-Mensah became our general manager. So, there's no denying, no getting around that the Vikings draft record since Kwesi became general manager has been abysmal. The best draft pick has been Jordan Addison. He's been a big hit, but the The second best guy, I think, at this point in time would be you'd have to say would be this guy, kicker Will the Thrill Reichard. And because the Vikings are 3-4 and the season hasn't been going that very well, I think that his excellent kicking has been lost a bit. But you look at him, he hasn't missed an extra point so far this season, and I better knock on wood on that, because he'll probably miss one tomorrow. He's on kickoffs. My opinion is that he's been really good about varying the distance and directional kicking on the kickoffs, like pinning
the
guys.
Kicks, not putting them, the Vikings on the 45 or whatever.
Yeah, and then kicking to either the left corner of the area of the close to the end zone or the right corner, so that the kick returners have less of they don't have the full field to run to and hit the blockings to. And also he's 14 of 16 from his for field goals this year. He's banged 2 59-yarders. One of his misses was because his field goal hit the camera wire in London.
There's
even
speculation the second one did too.
Even though the NFL won't admit that, but other than last year when he had the quad injury and he had a bit of a slump, Reichard has been excellent this year, and he was excellent last year. And so again, I think that's been lost in the way the Viking season has gone this year. But Reichard does look like maybe he might be a long-term answer at place kicker for the Vikings. knock on wood.
We'll see. as long as he keeps banging it through, and I think he's had a great season so far. The two ones, the one that hit the wire that the NFL still denies, and then the second one, which some video shows it hitting the wire and ending up short. I think he hit the ball fat, which is a golf term where you hit behind the ball. And he did. I mean, the film showed it. He kicked the turf before he kicked the ball. It slows your foot speed down, just like it does your club speed in golf. And
they also were using a K-ball on that one.
Yeah, he was not using a K-ball. But he came up, a yard short. So, and it was a 50-plus yarder. So
53. Or 54, something like that.
So I think he's doing outstanding. So I'm not worried about Will Reichard. I think he's one of the best selections that Kwesi has made so far. Yes. Him and Jordan Addison.
Yep.
Minus Jordan Addison's off-field issues. Yes.
All right. Final topic also involves draft picks, but Ben Solek from ESPN, we sometimes mention
the 14-year-old.
Yeah, the 14-year-old. Analytics writer for ESPN, the worldwide leader. He had a story earlier this week where he talked about a few things and also 4 trades that have to happen. And I bring it up because the Vikings were involved in one of those. Now, of course, we'll mention right now, I don't think Solek has any team intel on this. These were just trades that he thought would be fun or be interesting or make sense. But he has one of the 4 trades that he says have to happen was involving the Vikings and the Colts, where the Vikings trade for Anthony Richardson and they get a 5th rounder in 2026 and in return, they would give up a 3rd rounder in 2026 and also a 7th rounder in the
green room.
Yeah, and also give up a 7th rounder in the 2027 draft, which could have been a conditional 5th rounder, turned into a 5th rounder. This was Solek dreaming this up, but maybe, I feel an interesting trade. I wanted to throw it out there to get people's opinions, and just it's kind of a fun thing to talk about. But, first off, there were rumors that the Vikings tried to trade up for Anthony Richardson in the 2023 draft and weren't able to pull it off. And instead, the Colts ended up picking him 4th overall. So maybe this isn't as far-fetched as I thought if the Vikings actually really dug Richardson and his talent. And we know that Kevin O'Connell gave him a big warm hug last year and whispered sweet nothings into his ear after the Vikings beat the Colts about how great he was going to be and all of that. So KOC thinks a lot of his talent. But anyway, I still think that this is a pretty preposterous suggestion that the Vikings would trade for a very athletic and promising young quarterback, but also one that is very raw and also has had trouble staying on the field, has had injury problems, and has been pretty inaccurate during his time as a starter. So it seems preposterous that they would trade for this quarterback when they currently have on their roster a young, looks like a raw quarterback, has had some accuracy issues, very athletic, and also has been hit with the injury bug. So, bringing in another similar talent like that doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me, nor would the Vikings, I think, with their draft woes, I think, be too keen on giving up a high, a third round pick to the Colts for a guy like Richardson. And I think that this would also not send a very good message to JJ McCarthy about his status with the team and what kind of future he has with the team when you're bringing in somebody who could potentially be seen as competition to him. Maybe he needs a bit of that, but I don't think it would. I think it's a preposterous idea. It's never going to happen. But if you feel differently in the comments, please have at it, because we welcome everybody's opinions here at Two Old Bloggers.
I believe it's Ben Solak trying to generate clicks is what I believe. But there's
me.
The trade deadline is November 4th, which is just a few days away.
Yes.
And whether the Vikings are buyers or sellers or will stay pat, that's generally the case, is yet to be determined. Now, I'm hearing word that they're buyers. Well, if they lose tomorrow, which, logically we think is going to happen, why would they be buying unless it's a long-term purchase that they can, get to save some deficiency?
Yes.
Simmons from the Titans, for example, even though he's, according to the Titans, everybody's for sale except for Simmons and their quarterback. Who knows? I've seen all sorts of stuff. I've seen Justin Fields from the Jets. Why would we want Justin Fields? Just crazy. And it's, I think, people trying to generate interest and clicks and floating up balloons, much like draft season and, free agent season, hey, what if we get this? What if we get that? Oh, that'd look good. That'd look good, sort of deal, and see if they can drive clicks. But us getting a quarterback, I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. Now, if Anthony Richardson is released and wants to come to KOC's School of QB Reclamation for veteran quarterbacks, we'll see how that goes. But nah. Mm-mm.
No. Again, I brought it up because it was an interesting trade scenario and not a realistic one. But also, like you said, Dave, I think, Dave, you were one who was very enthused about Richardson's talent coming out of
talent, his raw talent. Yeah.
Like if, say, in the off season, 2026, if you were to bring Richardson in after he got released by the Colts and take a flyer on him, hey, I'm not against that. But I certainly wouldn't be trading draft picks for him.
No. And that's just it. If we're gonna do a trade, and I've seen stuff for corner. Albert Breer says we're going to trade. Mm-hmm. We're looking for a corner. That makes sense. Okay.
Yes.
If we get the right one, a young one that's on a crap team that's good and has plenty of upside. But as for a quarterback that's injury prone and has never been developed properly, no, not a chance. Be it Richardson or Justin Fields, either one. No. No.
Yeah.
Big Bat, no. Let me repeat, no.
In case you didn't hear it the first 5 times, no.
Yep. So, anyways, I've seen a rumor that we're going for an offensive lineman, an offensive tackle. If that's the case, but
yeah.
Well, Eagles, Smeagles, how about guard, center, or corner? The center, one name I've heard is the Cardinals center. And that could be an improvement. I honestly agree. But I think for the O-line, you need to improve the O-line coaching. But that's just Dave. Now we're on to a different subject. It's on to the next theme. What's the next theme?
Theme 3, Dave.
This is where we do the preview of the Vikings at the Kittens with our free agent, Drew Bunting.
He's working out a lot better than the Vikings free agent.
That's right. He's not a free agent we're wanting to get rid of.
Yeah.
Big battle coming up. Big battle. Come on, Anthony Richardson, stop. Now, you know what? That's like my neighbor cleaning up after his dog, putting some dog crap in a bucket, bringing it to my door and saying, hey, Drew, I'll trade you this dog crap for some of the beer in your fridge. Oh, yeah. Yeah, let me run back and get the 6-pack and give you that. Come on now. Stop. With Anthony Richardson, he's terrible. He's never going to amount to anything. Not even the crap. Okay. What do we got going here? Great show so far, guys. I'm really encouraged to find out that since Kwesi Adofo-Mensah has been here, the second best draft pick we have is a kicker. That just fills me with happiness and encouragement that the second best pick in 3 years is a kicker. Nothing. I love Will, but think about that. Our second best pick, besides Addison, is a kicker.
Oh, I have thought about it.
You can do a show on that alone. Anthony Richardson. Darren, first time in 33 years, I watched your Blue Jays last night. I'm telling you, it took me a long time to get through that. I made it through that baseball game. For the first time in 33 years, I sat beginning to end baseball game. I had to start drinking about halfway through the 6th inning because it's boring. But you guys had a chance to tie that thing in the 9th inning, and you went Minnesota. You went Vikings. You had second and third, nobody out, down by 2. And you – oh.
Hey, there's another game tonight, Drew, if you want to watch, be bored some more.
I will not be watching. There's hockey. Michigan plays at 6. I may watch a little of it, but that – good luck to you because I know you're a Blue Jays fan, but I did sit through the whole thing. I did sit through the whole thing, and it's baseball. Before we get to the preview, my first item on the preview list is ask Dave how much whiskey he has for tomorrow. So, Dave, I need to check your inventory. If you only have one bottle, you may want to run out.
No. I'd be upset if I had under 2 dozen.
That was my first thing on the list. Better make sure Dave has some.
Oh, Dave's
here we go.
Stocked. Don't worry.
We got Vikings. We got Lions. JJ's never lost in Michigan. McCarthy. By the way, there's a lot of people in the chat already giving up on McCarthy. They have them all figured out after 2 games. That's amazing. I thought I do football, but got them all figured out after 2 games. He's a bust. He's terrible.
But Drew, not to worry. Yeah. I've already got my next Total Wine and More order started.
What is that? What is that? About $5,000 a month? What do you put down on?
I wish. Hey, when we tell you to subscribe to the podcast, it's what pays for my whiskey.
That's important.
It is.
Second best draft pick, a kicker. Okay. Here we go. What do we got? JJ McCarthy in Michigan. This is going to be a tough haul, guys. It's a tough haul. I do research on the Lions. Much as I hate the Lions, they're a pretty complete team all the way across the board. Toughest team the Vikings have had to face so far. The Vikings haven't played a clean game all season. They're going to have to do it. They're going to have to do it tomorrow. They're going to have to be the cleanest game, no turnovers. KOC is going to have to call the game of his life. Brian Flores is going to have to call a good game. KOC's especially got to be aggressive. They had the Lions beat last year, if you remember, Darren, Dave. They had the ball back with 4 minutes left, which is all you can ask for. They had the ball and the lead with 4 minutes left. All you got to do is pick up 1 first down, maybe 2. And, of course, we knew it wasn't going to happen. We all knew we were going to punt it back. We knew that KOC had 3 terrible plays. There was that lousy screen pass that didn't go anywhere or something. There's 3 bad plays. We punted it back. They drove the field, won the game, which we all knew if we didn't. You can't ask for – against the Lions or these upper echelon teams, you can't ask for more than having the ball at the end of the game. You got to put them away. You got to ball up and put those teams away. You have to. And – if it comes down to that tomorrow, which I'd be happy with, I'm going to give us the lead in the ball with 4 minutes left. I don't care if Darren's quarterbacking. Pick up a couple first downs, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Will the thrill, number 2 pick. Vikings, this is our second division game. Vikings are 1-0. Game number 128 between these teams. 128. I think I've seen 110 of them because I'm old. I am old as dirt. Vikings have won 80 of these games.
I've got a question for you, Drew. What was the first game we beat the Kittens?
In our franchise history?
In our franchise history. And it's not the one pictured. This is pictured in 1965.
I think it was
Tommy Mason.
69, wasn't it? When they had the 69? 70. And then I don't know.
November 24th.
With Paul Flatley.
1963. Guys. And what is special about that game? Besides it starting a boatload of winning.
We had a decent O-line?
Well, yeah. No, it was
Bev Rockland was still the coach, right?
I believe so. It was when Pete Rozelle, after Kennedy's assassination, said, we're going to play. It was the first game played after that. And
no, it was the 1963 game that was out when they got the jerseys messed up, the jersey flop.
They went purple on purple, had to go purple on purple. That may be.
Right.
That was the first time they did it, and they looked like grapes. Yeah.
Yeah, they screwed up because the Lions had the home jersey or something got messed up with the thing, and they had I have to ask Tony Bell. He remembers all those dates really well.
What's the other important thing about that game?
Vikings won.
Yes, they did. But the big important thing is I was 6 weeks old.
Wow. Really?
Yep.
So your baby bottle used to have milk in it. Now it has whiskey.
That's right.
Or it might have had whiskey then. I don't know.
Well, my mother very well could have been.
We've lost 5 straight to these clowns. 5 straight, Darren. And we've lost 4 straight in Detroit, which is where this game's going to be tomorrow, in Detroit. This is going to be a tough haul. 8.5-point favorites, 48.5 over-under. I would bet the over if I bet, but I do not bet anymore because betting is evil.
Especially when you bet the heart and not the mind.
Yeah. Go back to the 63. I wasn't even born yet. I was 2 years off. Lions are currently 5-2. We know they're second in the division. Here's some, as we go inside the numbers real fast. Lions are third. The Vikings better be ready for this. Lions are third in points scored. They're 8th in total offense, including 12th in passing yards and 7th in rushing yards. Only 2 teams have more passing touchdowns in the league this year, Cowboys and the Rams. So they are very loaded with skilled players. We've all seen the Lions play. They're on TV quite a bit. They can come at you from a lot of different angles. Like I said, the Vikings are going to have to be both sides of the ball. They're going to have to play their first clean game of the season. Can they? Darren doesn't have a very positive look on his face when I say that, but they're going to have to do it because you can't start the game with a 50-yard kickoff return and have a stinking penalty that takes you back to the 10. Get that baddie guy the hell off the team. That's terrible. They started that game perfectly against the Chargers, but there you go, Dave. Big flag, first play, let the gloom come in. There you go. There's the undisciplined gloom and doom. It starts a game. You can't win football games like that, especially not tomorrow.
How many great returns have we had so far this year?
Called back, or how many have we had? Because we had
called back by Price.
We had that one called back, and then
there's a half dozen.
The third quarter, Price ran another 42-yarder back that got called back by the same guy. Same fucking guy.
The special team penalty rate on kick returns is 25%.
Stop with the penalties. Stop with the idiocy. Stop killing yourself, because tomorrow you can't shoot yourself in the foot. The Lions are going to have a Gatling gun pointed at you. You can't shoot yourself in the foot because they're going to be shooting you in the face. You got to figure something out. So we know what kind of team that is. It gets us to key one. Key one, and this is probably my biggest key of the game, Darren. Can Flores find the answer? Because up till now, he's coached 4 times against the Lions with the Vikings. He's been the coordinator 4 times. He started after Donatel. Donatel didn't have much luck either, but Flores, we've noticed he does not do well against experienced quarterbacks. He lost Stafford last year, Goff. He's good against Dylan Gabriel and Jake Brownstone. What the hell is his name? Browning. Oh, he's good against those guys. But you get an experienced quarterback, he runs into a lot of problems. And Brian Flores has to figure out how to get it done. He's 0-4 against Jared Goff in his career with the Vikings. 0-4 isn't good, Dave, is it?
No, not in this case.
Okay, I just want to check that stat with you. Get this, Darren Campbell. Jared Goff in 4 games, 102 for 130, 78.5% completion percentage. 78.5. That's north of insane. Oh my God. He has 1,088 yards. He averages 272 yards every time he plays against the Flores defense. He has 6 touchdowns against the Flores defense, only 2 interceptions. Now, the Vikings have sacked Goff 8 times in the 4 games they played him. But 4 of those came in 1 game last year at US Bank. So the other 4 were in all of the other dropbacks Goff has made against the Vikings when Brian Flores is on the sideline.
Those are crazy numbers, Drew.
4 sacks. Those are ITN, man. That's what we do. We do tasty tidbits, and sometimes they're not tasty. Not as tasty as that whiskey you're sipping.
No, it's not.
Which I'm going to be sipping here in about 20 minutes when I'm done with this segment. 4 sacks total in the rest of Goff's dropbacks. The biggest stat of all, maybe the biggest problem, maybe the blitzing. There's no quarterback in the league that is pre-snap reads your blitz better than Goff, and he's killed Flores on the blitzes. When Flores blitzes, he's been killing him, and he's got to come up with a different plan. He has got to come up with a different plan. He just destroys the blitz because Goff not only has the weapons, he has the brain to do it. Dylan Gabriel, you can blitz him all you want. He's not going to beat you. He doesn't know what he's looking at. He's been destroyed so bad. The numbers I got, the stuff I got on this sheet, I can't read because the FCC wouldn't allow it. It's so horrible.
Now, technically, Goff plays worse when blitzed. All quarterbacks do.
Not against Flores, he doesn't.
But against Flores, because he can read where the open spot is. He knows where it is.
And I'll tell you where those open spots are in a minute. I was watching a lot of Lions tape, and I know the open spots, and I'll get to it in just a split second. But you figure he can't beat him non-blitzing, right? Flores can't beat him blitzing or non-blitzing. What the hell is he going to do? Well, I think the remedy to that is to limit and disguise the blitzing, and maybe leave a couple guys back, maybe some 2 deep safety looks, and figure out your blitzing from a different area, disguise it a little better, and don't do it as much. Pick and choose where you're going to blitz the guy. Because when it gets to be with the Vikings, when they play the Lions, the panic button gets hit, Darren. By the 3rd quarter, we're blitzing every other down because Gibbs is running free on screen passes, and they're just rolling and rolling and rolling, and they're causing the Vikings to panic. And when you panic, you blitz. That's the first sign. They need to. Flores is too good at coming up with disguised blitzes to have to do it all the time. It's not going to work against Goff. It's already proven. Pick and choose your blitzes. I'm not saying don't blitz at all, but pick and choose to try to somewhat disguise them and trick Goff into not knowing they're going to be there. There's a way that you can do it.
You want to get pass rush pressure from the inside. You want to be able to run rush 4, preferably 5 if necessary. But get pressure from the inside, not just the outside, which is why Kwesi and crew went out and signed Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen.
You look at all the defensive linemen interior for the Vikings, go down the roster, they're all pass rushing linemen, all of them. They don't have a run stuffer. So if this is going to work to their advantage, maybe tomorrow, because that is how you beat Goff. Pressure up the middle, get him to look on the fringe, get him to move laterally, and let guys like Van Ginkel clean it up. Van Ginkel is I'm going to tell you right now, we had no chance of winning this game tomorrow, but with Van Ginkel, we got a chance. That's how important he is. Let the center guys flush out Goff. And you notice Goff always has that check down guy. He always has it, whether it's Laporta, whether it's Montgomery, he'll have that check down guy, and you got to force his hand. You have to force it. I'm not saying you let Goff sit back there and just pick you apart, but you have to confuse him somehow because he's a good quarterback. We all hate the guy, but he's good. And people say to me, they've sent me messages this week, all we got to do is do what Kansas City did, Drew. The Chiefs beat them. Just do what Kansas City does. Kansas City has freaking Mahomes and Andy Reid. We don't have that. All right, we don't have Mahomes. We don't have Andy Reid. But the game plan for Kansas City was to put Gibbs in check, and they did that. But the interior pressure, Dave is exactly right. That's huge. You got to have some pressure up the middle. You have to make – Darren, this is probably the most important. Okay, let's talk about Gibbs. You got him up there on the screen. Okay, well, the drives. You got to make Detroit have long drives. You can't let them score in 3 or 4 plays. That's how they roll people up. That's how they get to 35-7 in the third quarter on people.
That's how they throw a 50-burger on you.
That's how they throw a 50-burger on you. It's Gibbs on the screen for 60 yards. They get it back. It's Jamison Williams on the 9 route for 60 yards. Then it's Laporta on the seam route for 35 yards. Then they hit you again with Gibbs on the bubble screen for 40 yards. You got to somehow make them have 12-play, 13-play drives to shorten the game. But how many mistakes are going to happen in a 3-play drive? You're going to have a whole hell of a lot better chance getting a pick or a fumble on a 12-play drive. More plays, more opportunity for mistakes. That's how the Vikings got to play this game. They have to, every time Detroit gets it, they got to stretch this thing out to a 6-minute drive because it'll shorten their possession time. You know, Detroit gets about 13, 14 possessions a game. And a lot of that has to do with scoring quickly. They can score very quickly. But let's get to Gibbs. Gibbs destruction is my key 2. Key number 2, Gibbs destruction is what I titled it because I couldn't come up with anything better. And I like the word destruction. I like Appetite for Destruction. I like that album. I like anything that has to do with destruction is right up my alley. So we're calling it the Gibbs destruction. That's right. That's what she said. Gibbs is the best running back overall in football. I'm a big Jonathan Taylor guy. I like Jonathan Taylor. He's the best pure runner. But in terms of just being versatile, Gibbs is the best running back in football. Tomorrow we're playing the best running back in football. Bijan Robinson tore us a new a-hole. Christ's sake, Kenneth Gainwell had 100 yards. Look what Judkins did. Judkins for Cleveland ran all over us. What are they going to do? I don't know, but they got the best guy tomorrow, and they got to shut him down. Now I will go to the Chiefs game. The Chiefs, here's Jamar Gibbs versus the Chiefs. This is his stat line. 17 rushes, 65 yards, no touchdowns, 1 catch for 0 yards. That's a win. If Gibbs gets that, the Vikings got a shot. That is how Kansas City beat them. You don't let Gibbs start rolling up on you. 65 yards rushing and no receiving yards and no touchdowns. That's a great game against Jamar Gibbs. That's the way you do it. And I think Kansas City had John Morton a little bit out of his game plan and Campbell out of his game plan a little bit in terms of Gibbs. They seemed to get them out of sorts and get away from Gibbs, which is what the Vikings need to do. They need to not get them so much in the Gibbs mode where you're just feeding them the ball. They kind of gave up on Gibbs in that Chiefs game. They did. And they started relying on Goff going downfield, which wasn't working. So Kansas City had a really good game plan against them.
Are you telling me that Flores needs to go with the same game plan that he used against the Eagles to stop Barkley?
Different, kind of a different scenario. I think Goff is a better quarterback than Hurts. I think essentially you do have to stop him, but they played it perfectly against Barkley, but they didn't cover the back end. And I think the Lions have more weapons downfield with St. Brown and Laporta. I'm kind of shocked they gave up those big touchdowns to Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. That's where they blew it. So they had the Eagles beat on that end. They just didn't compliment themselves on the deep end. They took care of Barkley. They're going to have to do the same thing tomorrow, but it's an overall look, Dave. Overall, you can't let them have the big explosive plays and get down the field in 4 plays because the Vikings can't get off the field. They got, let's face it, a rookie quarterback. They're going to have to sustain some drives themselves. If they let Detroit just start making 4-play drives and scoring, the game's over. So much like Saquon Barkley, they have to limit Gibbs. Now, Gibbs is going to get yards. He's going to get yards. You just don't want him getting the 50, 60-yard play. Your best bet, try to control him and then try to complement it with at least some better secondary play than they had against the Eagles. The Eagles guys were running free, but the secondary has been a problem. That Chargers game, Darren, there was way too many guys running in the open in the middle of the field. I was disturbed and shocked by what I saw. I don't know what they're doing back there. Lions
talk about destruction.
They talk about destruction. Who said John Lennon? When you say that, destruction, wear me out, whatever. What's that? Let it be. You know what I'm talking about. The Lions are better.
For us, by the way,
the Lions are better in the middle of the field, deep passing and mid-range passing than the Chargers. So I don't know what they're going to do. Like I said, this is going to have to be a really, really good game plan all the way around. Yes, you have to control Gibbs, but you can't. The Goff is just as Goff runs that thing. That's a tough offense to run. The Ben Johnson stuff was tough. The reason the Ben Johnson stuff isn't working for Caleb Williams is because he doesn't understand it.
Because Caleb Williams.
He doesn't understand it. It's a tough offense to learn. John Morton has taken Ben Johnson's offense and not really tweaked it a lot. But Goff already knows how to run this offense. Goff knows how to run his offense with that O-line. They have a great O-line. They are basically, you can't stop them, only hope to contain them. But the Lions thrive off other teams' mistakes. And the Vikings have been making freaking mistakes all season. Penalties, pre-snap penalties, penalties on the special teams, this and that. You've watched the games. They have to be drastically better because if they play against the Chargers, what's the first thing you texted me after the Chargers game, Dave, about the Lions game?
Oh, they're going to throw a 50 burger on us.
And what did I say? Probably. If they play like that, it's without a doubt because they are better than the Chargers. It was the Chargers, guys. The Chargers are just a mid-level team right now. And they blew them out. Key 3. What do we got for key 3? Can the Vikings offense be more consistent? Can they do it? Can they stay on the field and get first downs? They need to be better at time of possession, especially against the Lions. You can't go 3 and out all day against the Lions. How are they going to win that? If you get the Lions on their if your defense can hold the Lions to some 12-play drives, and then the Vikings can somehow get some 12-play drives, that shortens the game, baby. That's not going to make it 40-35 because the possession times will be lower. You're only getting it 8 or 10 times. So the Vikings, can they do it, Darren? I don't know what the stats are. I think the Vikings are like one of the worst third down teams in the league. Well, here's a thought. Here's a way to start. Keep J.J. McCarthy from 2nd and 12 like Wentz had every damn snap he had since he was in there the last 4 weeks. Christ's sake. 2nd and 12, 2nd and 14. Start the drive. Here we go. They just punted it to us. Let's go out there. False start. 1st and 15. The Vikings can't get out of their own way. Tomorrow, let's get some 2nd and 3, 2nd and 2. How about some better, more creative play calling on first down? First down leads to third down success. First down leads to third down success. Does that make sense? There's no destruction there. Appetite for destruction. You want to be in 2nd and 15 all day, 3rd and 15 with J.J. McCarthy, your rook dog back there?
Unless you throw first down to first down to first down to first down.
Or you bring out Central Michigan or somebody for let J.J. play against that defense. Then you'll be okay. Then you'll be the Golden Gophers. You can send them out there. I know we got a lot of Gopher people in the chat. I don't mean anything by it. Don't rip me too bad. I like the Gophers. I'm a big PJ Fleck fan. Anthony Richardson, for God's sake, Campbell, stop. Stop. Okay, where are we at? Minnesota's the worst third down team in the league. That I don't know what they're going to do. They got to come up with some good play calls and put their team in a second and manageable. How about second and manageable or actually getting a first down on first down? That's legal, isn't it? Does KOC know that? KOC knows you can get a 10-yard gain on first down, then it's another first down. He knows that. You don't have to go to third. You don't have to go to third down every time. And by the way, let's get this out of there early. Campbell is going to go for it at least 3 times on 4th down tomorrow.
At least.
That
if not the whole game.
If you watch any kind of flat play by the Lions the last 3 seasons, when they don't get those 4th down plays is when they lose. Dan Campbell and the Lions' 4th down play call is the money down for the Vikings tomorrow. That is the money. You got to get them off the field, and that puts some doubt in their heads. That's the teams that have done that. It makes Campbell feel kind of stupid. It really, look at the Lions when they don't convert 4th downs. They're a different team. Their confidence gets shot. So tomorrow, and he does it every week. Have you seen the Lions game where they don't go for it on 4th down?
He's been doing it. He's been doing it since he's become head coach. And one of the reasons, other than having a lot of talent, is why they're very good at it. Because he started a smart thing when they were terrible of saying, we've got nothing to lose, but I'm gonna drill you guys into having confidence on 4th down when we go for it, because that's what we're gonna do when we get good. And now 4th down is just like 2nd down to these guys. They don't feel any pressure. They know they've converted over and over and over on it, and it helps them tremendously as an offense and a team. And they're just very good at it. They don't piss down their leg when it's 4th down.
That's not so what you say.
So what you're saying is Detroit has actually built an identity with their offense.
Yes,
they have. But you want to know where it started? He said, "I believe in my offensive linemen." He's got a good offensive line coach. And if they can push guys 1, 2, 3 yards off the pile, we can gain the first down. So I will go for it every 4th down or every, realistic 4th down. I'm going for it because I believe in my offensive lineman and my offensive line coach.
That's well said, but he's also got Montgomery and Gibbs behind him, behind his quarterback.
He doesn't have
Matt Asiata. He doesn't have Asiata back there. He had, he's got running backs that could do some damage. The whole idea, you're right. He's built enough confidence, Darren, to know that his offense probably knows they're going to go for it without even asking him. They probably just know. That's going to have to be the money down for Flores tomorrow. Flores, he's going to give up some yards and some plays. Laporta over the middle is something that the Lions, you notice when the Lions play, they don't use that Laporta play till the 2nd quarter. They lull you to sleep with Amon-Ra St. Brown in the short zone. They lull you to sleep. And then the 2nd quarter, they start hitting you with those seam routes to Laporta. You watch. 2nd quarter is going to be different. My God, you got to press St. Brown. Speaking of him, you got to press that guy at the line. You cannot play 12 yards off St. Brown because he is a master in that short zone. If the Vikings are lined up 10 yards off St. Brown in the 1st quarter, I don't give us much of a chance. I don't. You got to press the shit out of that guy. It's the only way to defend him. But they use Laporta very sneaky. I think Laporta knows I'm not getting a pass really early because they make you not think you're going to him, and then they'll go to him like 3 times in a row and burn the shit out of you with him. But that's the way they play. That's what they do. My summary. This is really tough, guys. Some games you got to lay it out.
We didn't get to, or at least I missed it.
What? play calling will have to be super
keep
creative.
Keep the planes churning. That was this graphic. Let's see.
Keep the chains turning. That's right. That's big.
Then JJ being the key.
Even
out of third, keep them out of third and longs.
You get at your own 20. You start a drive at your own 20. If you can get 2 or 3 first downs, even if you're a little out of field, even if you have to punt, that's okay against the Lions, because you've used 5 or 6 minutes off the clock, Darren. That's okay to do against the Lions. Where you get hurt is 3 and out, giving it back. 3 and out, giving it back. So even if we can get some first downs, we may all be bummed they're not getting a touchdown on it, or maybe a long field goal try, whatever. Even if they got a punt, every time the Vikings get the ball, every time they got to keep the ball for 5 or 6 minutes. Every time. And
how many first downs do we need to get?
I would say 23. 20
Good number.
At least got to hit the 20, 23 range. And they got to be somewhere around 30 points. Like I said against the Eagles, if we don't hit 30, we're going to lose. Kind of like that against the Lions, the same thing. But they've got to possess that football, and they have got to move the football to keep the Lions on the sidelines. They have to. I know you hear that in every football game. All we have to do is manage the game, pick up some first downs. It's a lot harder than what it is. You better have – it starts on that first down. I don't want to see these lame-ass sweeps that get -2 on first down every freaking time we start – or a penalty and a false start, illegal formation, all these pre-snap bullshit penalties that shouldn't be happening at this point. Tomorrow – you have to go 3-step drop, Addison. You got Addison and Justin Jefferson, who's the best wide receiver on the planet. Use those guys. Use them. Make them stop you with that. And the Detroit secondary, no Kirby Joseph. They're banged up out there. And here's another thing. Here's a tidbit I don't even have listed in my thing here. That Amik Robertson, whatever. Last year they bracketed JJ in almost a triple coverage. They had almost a triple coverage. JJ, I think, had 54 yards receiving in that last game, Darren, when they won 31-0 or something. They bracketed JJ all day and you don't usually see a triple bracket, but that's what they were playing on Jefferson. He had 54 yards, I think 4 catches or something, but he wasn't much of a factor in the game. All offseason, that Amik Robertson, was talking about how he shut him down. Shut JJ down. Did you see me? Jefferson knows that. Jefferson talked about it last week in a presser. He used a very mystical way. He said it, but he said there's somebody over there that's due for a beatdown because he's been talking shit. It's Robertson. Jefferson is going to be fired up to shut that guy up tomorrow. If Jefferson's fired up, you know what you do? You get him the football 10 times a half. Get him the football. Let him, because he gets a chip on his shoulder, Jefferson will beat your ass. And that Robertson guy took all the credit for that triple bracket coverage last year. It was all me. No, it wasn't all you. It was Olokagwura with that guy that came from Penn State. I don't think he's on the team anymore. It was him, and it was Brian Branch was playing kind of a weird slot thing last year. He's playing like a corner safety combo. So they had Branch. I can't remember. Adofo-Mensah is the guy's name, or some weird name.
Right, yes.
And Amik Robinson. They're all tripling him. They haven't really boxed in last year. He still got 54 yards. What does that tell you? But Jefferson has kept that in his brain. This little pissant has talked about owning me, and I'm going to own him. You got to take advantage of when guys have an attitude like that and they're angry. Chris Carter was angry, you threw every fucking pass to him. Let him go. Throw it to him. Chris Carter angry is great. So hopefully that was a little tidbit I wanted to get out that I didn't have in my notes, but I wanted to get it out there. It's going to be a tough haul. Vikings have to play a really good game. Lions secondary is banged up. Take advantage of it. The Vikings need to be loose. They need to be aggressive. To hell with whatever we want to be scared of. They need to be aggressive with the football and attack the team's weak spots, because that's what the Lions are going to do to you. You're not going to stop Gibbs. What you're going to do with Gibbs is what people used to do with Adrian Peterson. You don't know if he's going to get out of the backfield to catch it or whatever, but when he gets it, you got to rally to him. When he gets it, you got to rally to him. Van Ginkel, huge tomorrow. Cashman, be huge tomorrow. those guys are going to be really big tomorrow, and I think Van Ginkel might be the player of the game. But when Gibbs gets it, Darren, swarm tackling is how you stop Gibbs. Gibbs is a one-cut guy, and then he's gone. He broke Cam Bynum's ankles last year on a run up the middle. It was so terrible that it was one juke, and Bynum was just standing there. He couldn't believe that the guy juked him that bad. But you got to try to control the purge of Jahmyr Gibbs, because he is an exceptional football player. I watch a lot of tape on the Lions this week, and that guy is great. There's no foolproof answer for the Lions. You just got to go out there and play it. But this is the game, more than any we've had all season, when you got to play clean. You can't have a great return called back on a pissy-ass penalty. You stop doing it. Stop. And stop babying your quarterback. McCarthy can get it done. Let him be JJ. JJ's a playmaker. Don't sit him back in the pocket 8 yards deep and let Hutchinson feast off him, because that's what they're going to bank on doing. Let JJ make some plays out of the pocket. Let him be himself. Let him be what Harbaugh let him be with the Wolverines. I do have a really good hot take for you. It's going to be tough on the road. I have the percentage when I ran it through my machine, which is in my head, which is also in my brain, and also in my mind. Vikings, I had a 15% chance of winning this game, not 50. They're at 15%. Now, as much as people want to throw anger chats up there right now because I said 15%, you have to admit, at least to me, there is something about an underdog that is inspiring to me. I don't mind being the underdog in a game like this. And this is the weird NFL. When everything seems like, it's going to be a done deal, something weird happens. There's a lot of weird stuff that happens. The Vikings, let's face it, there's something inspiring about an underdog. And come on, guys, aren't we due for some good shit to happen to this team? Aren't we due for that? Come on. How much shitty things can happen? We're due. The Vikings are due to play a game and then walk out of there going, I can't believe McCarthy and the Vikings beat the Lions today. It's possible, but I'm only at 15% right now. I'm going to have to see how the game unwinds in the first quarter to see how KOC is attacking this and how Flores can he somehow figure out Goff and not letting Goff dry hump him every time he plays him. He's got to figure out some way to stop the guy. But my spicy hot take, here it is. The Vikings, the first time they get the football, whether it's the beginning of the game or after the Lions have a 3-and-out and have to punt it to us in the first quarter, the first time the Vikings touch the ball, they will drive the field and get a touchdown. The very first time.
Oh, first quarter touchdown.
First drive. First drive, they're going to drive the field and score a touchdown. And you guys can remember I say that and bust my nuts next week, but that's my spicy hot take. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. I feel the destruction of the Lions coming on a little bit. This game is here for the Vikings, guys, but they can't piss on themselves like they do every freaking week. You got to play a clean game, and you got to play more motivated with some energy and some intensity. I mean, and that's the good thing about being an underdog. Dave, when an underdog is tied in the third quarter, you're fired up. Dave, you played a lot of football in your time. When you're a 3-touchdown underdog or whatever, and you're hanging with the other team, you could see it in their eyes across the guy line scrimmage that they're faltering. They're faltering. We got the momentum. This is ours for the taking. So there is something inspiring about it. I want to run this
close on a 15. Vegas has it at 12.
Vegas has it at 12?
12% money's on the Vikings.
Keep in mind, our second greatest pick since Kwesi's been here is a kicker. So how can we go wrong?
Let's right.
See. I got this prop sheet. I'm going to ask you guys 5 prop questions, and you in the chat can play along too. Whoever gets the most next week, I'll announce your winner between Soup Campbell and the great David Stefano. I'll ask you these. Whoever wins gets a bottle of whiskey. Sure. That's all I have to offer at the Bunting household is whiskey. Okay, prop bet. Play along at home. Put your answers in the chat if you want, but here we go. JJ McCarthy. We'll start with JJ, and the 5th prop will be JJ. Start and finish with JJ, because that's what we got to do tomorrow. Start and finish with JJ. It's about McCarthy winning this game. He can get it done. I know he can get it done. He's got to get it done. All right, here we go. JJ, passing yards, 212, over, under.
Under.
Over.
Okay. Hawkinson, receiving yards, over, under 40.
Over.
Over.
Jefferson, 80 receiving yards, over, under.
Over.
David's confident now. I saw how he answered it. That's like when the lady at the restaurant says, "Would you like another whiskey with your steak?" He answers right away. Please and thank you.
Yes.
How about Mason, Aaron Jones, and McCarthy? Combined 92 rushing yards between all of them. Over, under. 92.
Under.
Okay.
That's a toughie. All three of them I'll go over.
Okay, that is a toughie, but I'll add, if it's over, Vikings got a shot at this game.
They do, yeah.
You can't go out and get 34 rushing yards like they did to the. How do they get 34 to the Chargers who've been giving up $1 million a week? I mean, terrible. Come on.
Because they get from behind, Drew. They're chasing the score, so they're nothing nothing but throwing.
I hope you're right about that over day, because if we are over, that gives JJ a lot of relief from having to try to win this game. Christ's sake, keep them out of 3rd and long, will you, KOC? Okay, last one. JJ touchdown passes, 1.5, over, under.
Over.
Under.
Oh, Darren, you're supposed to say over so I can go, that's a spirit. Okay, I'll keep this
out
sheet.
in the first quarter with a busted knee.
I'm going to keep this sheet. Winner gets whiskey. Darren might not want that. Well, Darren might want whiskey tonight. His Blue Jays are in Game 7. Is that tonight or tomorrow?
Tonight.
It's in Toronto.
Yes.
Oh, my God. I may tune into that. I'm going to be lit up like a Christmas tree, but I'm going to tune into it. I'm going to tune into it.
Factoid that nobody cares about: when the Jays won the back-to-back in 93 and 92.
I remember.
I was going to school in Toronto, so I was on Yonge Street for the big party.
I remember the Joe Carter home run off Mitch Williams. The Joe Carter homer. I was making out with a chick on the couch when that was going on. I was watching that, and she was getting mad at me because I was watching that's why I remember that. That's my memory from that game.
She's like, "Why are you paying attention to the ball game?"
Oh, I was like, I remember that. Big home run, though. Big home. Good luck to your Blue Jays tonight. And good luck to our Vikings tomorrow. Come on, guys.
Yes.
This would be
win this game.
This would be the win that makes up for that shitty Falcons game. That crappy, even though we beat the Browns, it's a crappy game. We've had crappy games. This would be the makeup game. This is it. This is your shot. Even if it's in Detroit, go out there and beat the Lions, man. Get it done. Get it done. It's a tough haul. For me to sit here and say, can the Vikings play a clean game? How can I say that at this point? They can't. They haven't yet.
It'd be something if they did.
Like the great Toonses said, Toonses is wise and has wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Toonses says every game, if you can't stop beating yourself, you're not going to beat the other team. Start by not beating yourself. Simplify it. Simplify it. She makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
She's also
always
beautiful.
Yep.
That's it for me, guys. I'm going to be rooting my ass off, but I'm also going to be drinking heavily because I don't know how this is going to go. It could be scary, but there is something inspiring about that underdog, Darren. There is. And we will definitely have the underdog roll tomorrow, believe me, in that stadium.
Yes.
To hell with being worried. Play loose. To hell with worrying about it. Just go for it. I don't know.
I agree.
Prop bets. I'll save this for next week. See you.
Uniforms for tomorrow, I believe, are the blue on silver and white on purple for us.
Let's just get the quarterback through a full game. Healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Healthy, and let's show progress. And
definitely week by week progress.
Justin Jefferson.
Shocking that people have already given up on somebody after 2 games. I mean, did you not see Peyton Manning's first 2 games? How about John Elway's first 2 games? Go look at John Elway's stats the first couple of games. But like I said, I'm just a base player, Dave. I don't know football like some of these people.
Guys, question that I wanted to get everybody's both yours opinions on is pretty clear from the start of the game, how I think this is going to go. I feel it's unrealistic to expect the Vikings to come up with a win tomorrow,
right?
Especially with JJ McCarthy in his third game. But what for JJ McCarthy in his third start, we want to see progress. What would success look like for McCarthy tomorrow? And the obvious things are, he throws for 250 yards, 3 touchdowns, the Vikings win. I don't think that's realistic. What would look like success for me is stuff like, I want to see better pocket movement awareness out of him. I want to see him have conviction in his decisions when he throws the ball. No turnovers. That means no strip sacks, no INTs. And you talking about it, Drew, is I want to see them, maybe they don't score points on drives, but not have multiple 3-and-outs. And I think if he does those things, the other results will take care of themselves.
That's about 100% how I look at it. I look at it like that too. McCarthy is a very passionate player and motivating player. A lot of times at Michigan, a lot of games at Michigan, he started out a little slow, but he had Corum to lean on, the running game. They had a great offensive line, whatever. When he got rolling, though, you look at that Sugar Bowl game against Alabama. He's pretty much just going through the motions. By that last drive, he's running up and down the sidelines, firing guys up. That's what McCarthy is, because he can't control his passion. Along with the fundamentals tomorrow, Darren, I'd like to see some of that. I'd like to see some of that come out, because he hadn't had a chance. He did it a little bit when he ran that ball in Chicago, that around the edge. You saw a little bit of it there, but I'd like to see him show that confidence a little more. I think he's going to play well. Everything you just said is kind of what you want to see from week to week. I'm not really worried about the stats. I'm more worried about how he looks from week to week, and how KOC is KOC going to put him in a box and tell him, this is the kind of quarterback I want you to be, or is he going to let him improvise? Because part of JJ's game is improvising. Go look at that tape. I know even if it's college tape, JJ is a playmaker out of the pocket. I don't think you can handcuff him. But all in all, I'm looking for his excitement with his teammates. And when he gets it rolling, it's infectious as fuck, man. It really is. He would have the defense of Michigan fired up, along with the offense. The way he gets, I want to see that more out of him, because I haven't had a chance to see it, because he's been kind of behind the 8 ball so far. So, and he plays better with confidence. So let's see. That's what I want to see tomorrow. But I'm not hoping for this big 5-touchdown game or anything. And like I said, Detroit's a good team. We're probably not going to come out in the winning end of it. But if we do, J.J. McCarthy's the guy to get it done. I mean, I've seen him do it so many times with my school that I have a lot of faith in him. But just don't get hurt. That's probably I don't want to see him nagging injury or something, because that would really be bad at this stage of his career. But everything you said is pretty much where I'm looking for too, Darren.
I'd like to see the fans justified for wearing number 9 Michigan jerseys tomorrow at the game.
There'll be a lot. Yeah. Yeah, we didn't even talk about that aspect. There's some people in that crowd that love J.J. McCarthy.
There's a ton of them, and I want them to go home happy because J.J. McCarthy beat their Detroit Lions.
You know, if J.J. McCarthy pulls that off, you know who's going to have the biggest grin by himself on his car ride home? Hutchinson. That's the guy who's going to have the biggest grin on his face going, that son of a bitch did it again. Because Aiden Hutchinson and McCarthy, they're buddies. They, you know what I'm saying? Not in front of his teammates, but he'll give a head nod and go, that's pretty good.
So, all right, gentlemen, what do we say?
Lions can go to hell. Go to hell, Go to hell, Lions. Hopefully I didn't run that too long. I need coffee. And I need Kahlua. Got the Sharks at 3, Blue Jays tonight, Michigan tonight, and then Ryan Johnson's show is tonight over there at Uncensored. I always watch that.
That's
show.
right.
You got a full slate.
I do have a full slate, and I got the birds, and I got to practice with my metronome a little bit. Got a little bass work to do.
And you got Ruby, of course.
Oh, that's the best part of my days, baby.
Darren,
Thank you,
what do we
everybody,
say?
for listening to me drone on. Go Vikings, man. Pull it off. Get it done.
We say,
SKOL Vikings.
Go Vikings.
go
Thanks for
Vikings.
I didn't know that was the word, though. So.
Like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and rate us on your favorite podcast aggregator. Darren and Dave, thank you for watching this episode of Two Old Bloggers. We look forward to seeing you on the new Vikings First and SKOL. You can find our podcast as part of the Fans First Sports Network. Sports takes for the fan, from the fan. SKOL, everybody!